Thunderstorm Mountain was supposed to be a challenge, but as we climbed higher, with dark clouds gathering above us and a sense of unease growing with every step, I realized this wasn't just a hike. It was a confrontation with something far more dangerous. The legend spoke of a malevolent force that claimed hikers, drawing them into its depths. But we were young and full of bravado, dismissing them as mere stories meant to scare children. The air grew heavy as we trekked on, the once cheerful banter among friends fading into tense silence. I stole glances at my companions, their faces reflecting uncertainty. But we pressed forward, driven by a mix of adrenaline and the desire to conquer this mountain. The path twisted like a serpent, each turn unveiling more of the misty forest that seemed to close in around us. Just as we reached a clearing, the storm hit with a ferocity I had never experienced. Wind howled like a beast unleashed, rain lashing down in sheets. Panic set in as we sought refuge, our laughter replaced by frantic shouts. It was clear we wouldn't make it to the summit. The mountain had turned on us, and we were at its mercy. We stumbled upon a cave, dark and foreboding, a potential sanctuary from the storm. The entrance was wide enough for us all to fit. But as we huddled inside, an unsettling chill crept over me. The sound of the storm outside dulled, replaced by an eerie silence that felt suffocating. I could feel the weight of the mountain pressing down, as if it were alive and breathing. As we settled deeper into the cave, strange symbols began to emerge on the walls, glowing faintly in the dim light of our flashlights. I felt a shiver run down my spine. These weren't mere markings, but a language I couldn't understand, full of menace and foreboding. The air thickened with a sense of dread, and I exchanged worried glances with my friends. "Oh, what do you think they mean?" someone whispered, breaking the silence. We were all thinking the same thing, but no one wanted to voice it. The cave felt wrong, as if it had been a prison for something vile and ancient. As we tried to make sense of the symbols, strange echoes reverberated within, sounding almost like whispers that gnawed at the edges of my sanity. Our flashlights flickered ominously, and I felt an unseen presence lurking just beyond the reach of our light. The shadows danced, twisting into grotesque shapes that seemed to mock our fear. We were not alone. The weight of the mountain felt heavier, more oppressive, as if it were aware of our every move, our every thought. As the storm raged outside, my friends began to act strangely, their eyes glazed and distant. I watched in horror as one by one they turned to the cave's depths, drawn by something I couldn't see. It was as if the mountain was calling to them, whispering promises of safety or something darker. I wanted to scream, to pull them back, but a paralyzing fear gripped me. "We need to stick together," I urged, my voice trembling. But the words felt hollow, as my friends began to wander further into the darkness, their bodies moving as if puppeteered by an unseen force. I fought against the pull, my heart racing as I realized I was the only one left with a shred of reason. As night fell, the cave transformed. The walls seemed to pulse with an energy that thrummed through the air, and I could hear the whispers more clearly now, words I couldn't comprehend, but that filled me with despair. I stumbled back, feeling the rocky ground beneath me shift and twist, and I knew we were not just trapped by the storm. We were ensnared by something. I turned to my friends, who were now completely lost to me. Their eyes shone with an eerie light, a reflection of the mountain's hunger. I reached out, desperate to pull them back to reality, but they recoiled, fear mingling with something else, something that felt like reverence for the force we were up against. I knew then that the mountain was feeding on our fear, our despair. The cave wasn't just a shelter, it was a trap, designed to draw us in and keep us here forever. I could feel the panic rising in my chest, but I fought to remain calm, to think clearly. If I could just find a way out, I could save them. I gathered what courage I had left and began to navigate the rocky terrain, searching for an exit. As I moved deeper into the cave, the air became thicker, almost suffocating. Shadows loomed larger, and I heard low growls echoing off the walls, a reminder that I was not alone in this nightmare. I stumbled upon a narrow passage, barely wide enough to fit through. My instinct screamed at me to turn back, but I pressed on, driven by the desperate hope of escape. As I crawled through the dark, I could hear the whispers growing louder, clawing at my sanity, begging me to join my friends in their submission. Just as I thought I was making progress, the passage opened into a cavern, vast and sprawling, illuminated by an otherworldly glow. It was beautiful yet horrifying, the air humming with energy. In the center stood a figure, or rather, a mass of shadows, swirling and shifting as if it were alive. I froze, paralyzed by fear. The figure seemed to sense my presence, its attention snapping to me with a predatory hunger. I felt its gaze piercing through me, pulling at my essence. It was here, waiting, ready to claim another soul for the mountain's dark legacy. I knew I had to fight, but the strength drained from my limbs as dread engulfed me. My friends' voices called from the shadows, begging me to join them. It was a siren song, promising safety in surrender, but I resisted, reminding myself of the bond we shared before this nightmare began. I needed to be strong, to pull them back from the brink of despair that this mountain had ensnared them in. I began to backtrack, desperate to return to the cave entrance. The darkness felt alive, closing in around me, mocking my fear. I could hear the whispers now, chanting my name, twisting it into something grotesque. Panic surged through me, but I forced myself to focus, remembering the symbols on the cave walls. There had to be a way to break their hold. I recalled one symbol, an intricate design that seemed to pulse with energy. It was the only thing that stood out amidst the chaos. Gathering my remaining strength, I returned to the cavern, determined to confront the figure and find a way to break the connection between it and my friends. As I approached, the figure solidified, revealing a grotesque visage, a blend of shadows and nightmares. I felt a cold shiver run down my spine as it spoke, its voice a low rumble that resonated deep within my chest. You cannot escape. You are part of the mountain now. I shook my head, refusing to accept its claim over me. I shouted against the rising tide of despair, calling out to my friends, urging them to remember who they were before the mountain's influence took hold. I had to believe that a spark of their true selves still existed beneath the surface, waiting for a chance to break free from the darkness. The whispers grew frantic, the shadows swirling faster around me. I pressed my hands against the wall, feeling the cool stone beneath my palms. The symbols glowing brighter as if responding to my touch. I focused on that one symbol, repeating the mantra of resistance in my mind, determined to sever the bond that connected us to this place. As I concentrated, the figure howled in rage, its form flickering as if struggling against an unseen force. My friends' voices began to merge into one, rising up against the oppressive atmosphere of the cave. "Fight! "We are more than this," they shouted, their spirits rekindling like a flame against the suffocating darkness. The air crackled with energy as I pressed on, channeling everything I had into breaking the mountain's hold. I could feel the vibrations of the cave aligning with my pulse, a rhythm of defiance against the sinister presence that had claimed so many before us. With one final push, I slammed my hand against the symbol, demanding freedom for us all. A blinding light erupted from the symbol, shattering the darkness that surrounded us. The figure recoiled, howling in anguish as the cave walls began to crumble. My friends stumbled back, dazed but free from the mountain's grip, their eyes regaining focus as the shadows receded. We ran, fueled by the adrenaline of survival, the cave collapsing behind us as we pushed toward the entrance. The storm outside had calmed, but the mountain was far from defeated. It groaned beneath us, a reminder of the sinister force that lingered, waiting for the next group of unsuspecting hikers. Emerging into the light, we gasped for fresh air, collapsing onto the rocky ground outside. The sun broke through the clouds, casting a warm glow over us. But we were forever changed. The mountain had revealed its true nature. And though we had escaped, the scars it left ran deep. In the days that followed, the weight of our experience clung to me like a shroud. We were haunted not just by the memories of the mountain, but by the realization that we had come so close to becoming a part of its dark legacy. Each night, I found myself staring into the darkness, questioning what I had seen and felt. The local townsfolk spoke in hushed tones about the storm that night, unaware of the true horror we had faced. I wanted to warn them, to share the chilling tale of Thunderstorm Mountain. But I hesitated. Who would believe us? The fear that gripped me felt insurmountable, a reminder that the mountain was always watching. I took to writing about our experience, documenting every detail in hopes of making sense of what happened. With each word, I relived the terror of that night, but also the resilience that emerged from within. I knew our story could help others, to deter the brave and foolish from attempting to conquer the mountain. As time passed, my friends and I drifted apart, each of us burdened by the weight of our memories. I would see them occasionally, but our conversations never touched on the mountain. It was as if we had made a silent pact to forget, to leave the terror buried beneath the shadows. But the mountain never truly left me. I found myself drawn back to its base, the urge to confront my fears growing stronger. I needed to understand the symbols, the ancient force that lurked within. It was a dangerous obsession, but I felt compelled to uncover the truth, to prove to myself that I was stronger than the mountain. Armed with a journal filled with sketches of the symbols and notes about our experience, I began to investigate. The local legends became an obsession, piecing together the fragmented stories of those who had ventured before us. Each tale echoed with a warning, a reminder of the sinister force that awaited. With each new story I uncovered, I could feel the mountain calling to me, beckoning me back. It was as if it wanted me to return, to finish what we had started. I knew it was dangerous, but I was no longer the naive hiker I had once been. I had faced my fears and survived. Surely I could confront the mountain again. I planned my return meticulously, gathering supplies and mapping out a route to the cave. I felt a mixture of excitement and dread as the day approached. I was ready to face whatever lay ahead, armed with knowledge and a determination to break the cycle of fear that Thunderstorm Mountain perpetuated. As I ascended the mountain once more, the weather shifted ominously. Dark clouds gathered above me, and the wind began to howl, a reminder of the storm that had once trapped me. My heart raced with anticipation and fear, but I pressed on, determined to uncover the truth that had eluded me for so long. When I reached the cave entrance, the familiar chill swept over me. But this time, I was prepared. The symbols glowed dimly, welcoming me back into the darkness. I stepped inside, feeling the weight of the mountain settle upon my shoulders. The air hummed with energy, but I stood firm, refusing to be drawn into despair. I lit my flashlight, illuminating the walls that had once felt so oppressive. The symbols danced in the light, each one holding a secret, a piece of the puzzle that would reveal the mountain's true nature. I began to document everything, tracing the shapes with my fingers, feeling the energy pulse beneath my touch. As I delved deeper, the whispers began again, rising like a tide. But this time, I held on to my resolve. I shouted into the void, challenging the force that had claimed so many before me. "You will not take me. I am not afraid." The air crackled with tension, and the shadows recoiled momentarily, giving me a glimpse of the truth. As the storm raged and lightning cracked across the sky, I saw them, those eyes, burning with ancient hatred, lurking in the darkness of the cave. We had tried to escape, but there was no running from the force that had claimed Thunderstorm Mountain. One by one, we fell to the sinister presence, and in the end, I was left alone, trapped with the knowledge that the mountain would never let us leave.